Hello everyone, ciao a tutti. Welcome to this new course of Italian focused on pronunciation. So, some of you might already know me, but just in case, I'm Claudia and I'm going to be your Italian teacher in this course. So, we're going to focus on pronunciation as pronunciation is very important when talking in a foreign language. And it's even more important when talking to Italian in order to reproduce that beautiful sound of our language. So, where should we start from? So, we're going to start from the alphabet. And why the alphabet? Because the way you read the letters in the Italian alphabet is the same way you read them while reading words, for example. Of course, there are exceptions and we're going to explore them throughout this course, but no spoiler for the moment. We're just going to start with the alphabet. Okay? So, are you ready? So, how are we going to proceed? I'm going to start to repeat the letters in the alphabet. I'm first going to say the English letters and then the Italian ones. And I'm going to ask you to repeat those letters right after me in order to practice your pronunciation. Okay? Let's do this. Letter A in Italian is A. Is an open sound. A. Letter B, that's very easy, is B. It's the same. Letter C is slightly different. It's not C, it's Ci. Ci. Letter D is quite easy, as in Italian is D. It's the same. Letter E is one of the most complicated ones, and you're gonna find out why soon enough. So, letter E corresponds to a different sound in Italian. E is E. Letter E is E. Okay? Letter F is F. F. Letter G is G. It's the same. Letter H is a little bit different. It's H. H in Italian. And now you're going to discover why letter E is so complicated. Because letter I in Italian is I. So letter E in English is E in Italian. And letter I in English is I. In Italian. It's actually the opposite. That's why it's a little bit complicated, at least at the beginning. So, I is E, J is J, perfect. K is K, K. L is L, so you get that sound using your tongue, L. M is M. Look at my lips. M. Letter N is N. So M is M. N is N. Okay? Letter O is O. It's more an open sound. O. Letter P is P. Perfect. Letter Q is Q. So it's not Q, it's Q. Letter R is R. And you get that R using your tongue. R. Letter S is S. S. T is T. No problem about this letter. U is U. It's not U, it's U. Letter V is V. V is V. W is W. So we actually say double V. W. X is X. X. Y is Y. That's a long word for a single letter. Y. And finally, Z is Z. Okay? Z. We have just finished the alphabet. So now I'm going to ask you to practice a little bit with the alphabet by spelling your name. I'm going to be the first one doing this exercise. So my first name is Claudia. And I'm going to spell in Italian the letters of my first name. So the letters are C, L, A, U, D, I, A. So in English, Claudia. Okay? Would you like to do the same with your first name and maybe with your parents' name, with your dog's name? The most important thing is just to practice. So to practice with the alphabet in Italian. And of course, if you have any questions, just feel free to share it. Okay? So congratulations, you have just finished our first lesson of this course focused on pronunciation, and I'm looking forward to starting the next one. See you soon. Ciao! Hello everyone, welcome to this new course focused on Italian pronunciation. So in the previous lesson we have discussed the alphabet. So we have seen how to read the letters in Italian, and by now you should be able to spell your name, for example, or other English words but using Italian letters. If you have any doubts, please don't be shy and do not hesitate to reach out. Okay, we're here to help you. So today we're gonna start practicing a little bit with the pronunciation and with vocabulary as well. So I'm gonna show you and I'm gonna pronunciate some words, some easy words in Italian that do not have any exception in terms of pronunciation. So we're gonna focus on the field of family in this case. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is to pronunciate these words, and I'm going to ask you to read them as well, okay, in order to practice a little bit. I'm gonna spell them as well so that we can really make a good exercise. Okay, are you ready? Let's start. So the first word we're gonna do is house. Casa. C-A-S-A. Casa. Dad. Padre. P-A-D-R-E. Padre. How is it going with letter E, letter I, letter A in Italian? Do you still have any doubts? If you make some mistakes, it's totally normal, okay? Then we have madre, mother. Madre. M-A-D-R-E. Parents, genitori. Genitori. G-E-N-I-T-O-R-I. Genitori. Brother, fratello. Fratello. F-R-A-T-E-L-L or doppia L, double L, O. Sister, sorella. Sorella. S-O-R-E-L-A. Grandfather, nonno. Nonno. N-O-N-O. So remember the difference. N is letter N, M is letter M. Grandmother, nonna. Nonna. N-O-N-N or doppia N, A. Uncle, zio. Zio. The sound S is Z. Z-I, so letter I in English, O. Zio. Aunt, zia. Z-I-A. Zia. Okay? Cousins, cugini. Cugini. C-U-G-I-N-I. Okay? Is it hard for you to figure out which letters are there, or is it a little bit easier now? So then we have cousin, but we have a difference actually in Italian because we can have a male cousin or a female cousin. So the male cousin is cugino. Cugino. C U G I N O. And if it's a girl, cugina. So it's only the last letters that changes. Cugino, cugina. So in this case, we have an A, letter A in Italian. Okay? So how was it? Do you find it difficult to figure out which letters are there in the words or not? But let's do an exercise now. Okay? So I'm gonna pronunciate some words. Okay? And what I'm gonna ask you to do is to write those words. Okay? I'm gonna repeat them twice, then there is gonna be a silence, and then you'll see the solution. Okay? So if you need more time, just pause the video, okay? Write the words down and then resume it once you're ready. Okay? So our first word is tre. Second repetition, tre. And now it's your turn to write it down. And that's the solution. Tre is actually number 3. And how do you write it? T-R-E. Tre. In English, T-R-E. Okay? Second mysterious word. Prima. I'm gonna repeat it one more time. Prima. And now it's your turn. And here's the solution. Prima. Letters P, R, I, M, A. Okay? And then, new word. Dopo. I'm going to repeat it another time. Dopo. And now it's up to you. And here's the solution. D, O, P, O. And that means after. We have just seen prima, that is before, and dopo is after. Okay? New word. Lavoro. Lavoro. And now it's your turn. And here's the solution. L-A-V-O-R-O. Lavoro. That means work. Okay? Awesome. Another word. Sera. This is a short one. Sera. And now it's your turn. And here's the solution. S-E-R-A. Sera. Evening. Okay? Let's do one last word, I promise. So the last one is going to be a little bit longer. Don't hate me, please. And that is panorama. Panorama. It's a little bit longer, but now it's up to you. And here is the solution. So P-A-N-O-R-A-M-A. Panorama. That means a panoramic view. How was this exercise? Did you make any mistakes? If you did, that's totally normal. Okay, we're gonna do tons of exercises, so don't feel disappointed. It's totally normal. You have just started practicing with Italian letters and Italian pronunciation. Okay, so I really hope you enjoyed this lesson, and who knows what's gonna be next. Okay, see you soon. Thank you for being with me. Ciao! Hello everyone, welcome to this new lesson of Italian for Beginners focused on pronunciation. Okay, I hope you enjoyed our previous lesson where we played a little bit with Italian letters. And today we're going to focus on something different that is very specific. So the use of accents in Italian. Don't get scared. It's not like the French language where we have accents everywhere, like at the beginning of the word, in the middle, at the end of it. In Italian, we do have a few accents, but they're always at the end of the word, over the last letter, okay? And you can actually hear them. That's why the pronunciation is very important when it comes to accents as well, okay? So in this first part of our lesson, I'm gonna show you two words, basically. And the only difference between two words is the presence of the accents. But this small difference makes actually a huge difference in terms of meaning, because the meaning totally changes, okay? So I really want to show you why the accent is so important in Italian and why you should really read the word with the right pronunciation, because your sentence could change like dramatically, okay? So we're gonna start with the first two words. So the first two words are papa with the accent, papa, and the second one is papa. Listen to the difference. Papa with the accent, papa. Can you hear the difference? If you cannot, don't worry, okay? It's totally normal. Your ear needs to get used to it, okay? Papa with the accent, father, dad actually, papa with no accent, pope. So you can imagine why the accent is so important. Let's do another example. So the first word with the accent, always repeat the words right after me, okay, please, is pero with the accent over the O. Pero. And the second word is pero. Pero, pero. Okay? Pero, so the first word with the accent means but. Pero with no accent means tier 3. Okay? Here as well, the meaning is completely different. Pero, pero. I think that here you can actually hear the difference of the accent a little bit better than the previous example. Okay? Then, third example. The first word with the accent is onesta. Onesta. And the second word with no accent is onesta. Onesta, onesta. Okay, so there is a little bit more emphasis on the last letter where there is the accent. Onesta, honesty, onesta, honest. So in this case, the meaning is not completely different, but in one case you have a noun, and in the other case you have an adjective. Okay, so there is a difference in any case, even though the meaning is kind of the same. Fourth example, faro, no accent, faro, and the word with the accent is farò. Faro, farò. The first word without the accent means lighthouse. The second word, farò, means I will do, I will make. Okay? In Italian it's the same. There is no difference between to do and to make. So it's the verb fare, to do, conjugated in the future tense. Farò, lighthouse, farò, I will do. So there is a huge difference here as well. Then, let's do another one. Porto, without the accent. Portò, with the accent. Porto, without. Portò, with. Porto, without the accent, means harbor. Portò means he or she brought. In Italian, when we use the verbs, we don't use subjects, okay? So that's why you don't see the subjects. So it's actually the verb portare, to take, to bring, in the past tense, okay? Porto, harbor, portò, he or she brought, okay? So once again, a huge difference. And then let's see another one that is very, very important. So we have the word with the accent, è, And the word without the accent, e. Here you can really hear the difference. E, accent, e without the accent. So e with the accent means he, she, it is. So it's actually the present of the verb to be in Italian. Third person singular, he, she, it. E. E without the accent means and. So you can see as conjugation, I eat and drink. Okay, for example, that's e. E, accent, e without the accent. Okay, so now we have finished all these words that you actually are very similar. The only difference is the accent, but the meaning is completely different though. Now I'm gonna show you other words with the accent just to show you some examples. So let's see a very common one, and that is città. Città, city. Okay, so you have the accent over the letter A in Italian. Difficoltà. Difficoltà. That means struggles, adversity. Let's see the opposite. Facilità. There is an accent here, ease. So let's try to think about the word without the accent. So the word with the accent is facilità. Okay? If there wasn't an accent, then the word would be read as facilita. But it's facilità as we have an accent over the last letter. Okay? Then facilita doesn't exist, so that helps us a lot. But yeah, that's it. Diversità. Diversità, with an accent over the last A, letter A in Italian. Diversity. A very important word in Italian culture, coffee, caffè. And here you have an accent over the letter E, letter E in Italian. I remind you that. Caffè. If there wasn't an accent, then there would be caffè. But it's caffè as you have an accent over the last E. Okay? Great. So now let's make a small exercise. So this exercise is called with or without the accent. So I'm going to pronunciate some words and you will have to write them down and you have to think about it whether there is an accent or not at the end of these words. So I'm going to repeat the words twice, then as we have already done, there's going to be a silence. You will have time to write it down. But if you need more time, of course, just pause the video and take your time. Okay? So our first mysterious word is verità. Verità. And now it's your turn to write it down. So with or without the accent? With the accent. V or V, E, R, I, T, A with the accent. Second word, partita. Partita. And now it's your turn. So with or without the accent? Without the accent. If there was an accent here, the word would be partita, but it's partita. Okay? I know it can be like a little bit tricky as a matter because it all depends on the year, but you're gonna get used to it. Okay? Don't get scared. Third word, vista. Vista. With or without the accent? Without the accent. V-I-S-T-A. Okay? If there was an accent, it would have been vista, but it's vista. It's not vista. Then, and vista means view. Fourth word, perché. Perché? With or without the accent? With the accent. P-E-R-C-H-E. Con l'accento. With the accent. And that means because, but also why. There is no difference in Italian. Awesome. Last word. Burro. burro. With or without the accent? Without the accent. It's not burro, but it's burro. And that means butter. Okay? How was this exercise? I hope you really enjoyed this lesson about the accents. And if you made mistakes, do not worry too much about it. Okay? It's totally normal, and you're gonna get used to the accent, to using the accents, and so on. So this is your first contact with Italian accent, so it's totally normal to make mistakes. Okay? So I'm looking forward to starting a new lesson, and I hope to see you soon. Okay? Bye bye. Ciao. Hello everyone, welcome to this new lesson of our Italian course focused on pronunciation. So if you remember, in the previous lesson we discussed the accents, okay, in Italian. But today we're going to do something different. So we're going to start focusing on group of letters. So we have different groups of letters that you need to read in a certain way. So I'm going to tell you how to read them, and then we're going to make tons of examples, and as usual there is going to be an exercise at the end of this lesson, but no spoilers for the moment, okay? So today we're going to focus on how to pronounce the letters CH in Italian. So maybe you have learned Spanish already, maybe you are just influenced by your native language, but CH in Italian is not read as ch. Instead, it is read as k. CH in Italian is always k. Okay, it's a harsh sound. It's not ch, it's k. Let's see some examples. For example, one of the most common sentences that you would use in Italy when you're there, for example, in vacation or making friends, I don't know. So how do you say, for example, my name is? In Italian, that's mi chiamo Claudia. In my case, mi chiamo. So you see, you have chiamo, C-H-I, chiamo. Okay? And the sentence actually literally means I call myself Claudia. That's how we say it. But let's do other examples. Please repeat the words right after me. Okay? Chiavi. And that means keys. Chiavi. So once again, you have C-H-I-A. Occhi. Eyes. Occhi. Here you have double C-H-I. It doesn't matter. When you see C-H, the sound is always K. Okay? Pesche. Pesche. And that means peaches. Anche. Anche. Here you have C-H-E, and the word means two. Like two, not the number, but two. Okay? Nice to meet you too. Okay? Then we have, for example, chiaro. Chiaro. And that means light, but also clear. Chiaro. Another example, games, is giochi. Giochi. Okay? C-H-I at the end of the word. Fires, fuochi. Fuochi. F-U-O-C-H-I. Okay? Chemistry, chimica. Chimica. So you see, you can have C-H-I at the end of the word, the beginning of the word, it doesn't matter. It's always K as a sound. Chimica is chemistry, as I have already mentioned. Then, a very short word, but a very useful one is che. And this is very tempting for example, English speakers to say che. It's che. C-H-E. And that means that, who, or which in a sentence, okay? Not in a question, but in a sentence, okay? Chitarra, for example, guitar, chitarra. Architettura, architecture, it's a long word, architettura. Hips, fianchi, fianchi. Can you see like how the pronunciation matches with the letters you see on screen? If you have any doubts as usual, please do not hesitate to ask. And let's do one last example. Circles, cerchi, cerchi. Okay? And now we have done like enough examples. I think you figured out how to read CH in Italian, but let's practice a little bit. Okay, in this case, you are going to read the words you're gonna see on screen. So you're gonna see a word, you will have to repeat it, to read it out loud, and then I'm going to read it, but just after you have done it. Okay, if you need a little bit more time, as usual, just pause the video and resume it once you're ready. Okay, so this is our first word. Take your time. And the solution is palchi, stages, palchi. How was it? Second mysterious word. And the solution is chissà. Here you have an accent at the end as well. Chissà. And that means who knows. Third word. Here it is. And the pronunciation is archi. Archi. Arches. Okay? Fourth word. And a very common one. The solution is macchina, car. Macchina. And let's see a last example. Solution: chilogrammi, kilograms, kilogrammi. Of course, there are exceptions. For example, if you're using an English word, then we're going to say ch. For example, cheap. As you might see on your screen right now, we don't say keep, but we say cheap as it's an English word. Okay? But if it's an Italian one, then ch is always k. Okay? I hope everything's clear, and we're gonna discover a new group of letters in the next lesson. I hope you are enjoying it, this course, and I hope to see you soon. Okay? Have a great day. Ciao! Hello everyone, welcome to this new lesson of our course focused on Italian pronunciation. So in the previous lessons we have discussed the alphabet, we have started to see like the first groups of letters, and we have discussed the Italian accent as well. Today we're gonna start working on 3 new groups of letters, but they're quite similar, so don't worry about it, it's not gonna be a hard work. So these 3 groups of letters are CA, CO, and CU. In all 3 cases, you're supposed to read the C as a hard one. So it's not going to be ch, but it's going to be k. Respectively, CA is ka, CO is ko, and CU is ku. Okay? And that's always the case. There are no exceptions. So as soon as you see CA, you know that it's going to be read as ka. Okay? Same thing for ko, same thing for ku as well. It's not Q, attention. CU in Italian is Q, not Q as in English. Okay, Q. So how are we gonna work on these groups of letters? Basically, I'm gonna show you 10 examples for each one, so you're gonna learn some useful vocabulary as well. And as usual, we're gonna make an exercise at the end of this lesson. Okay, ready to start with the group K, C-A? So the first word I'm going to propose you is casa. Always repeat the words right after me, okay? Casa, house. Second word, cavallo, horse. And here you can also see like the double L, cavallo. It's kind of a longer sound, cavallo. Meat is carne, carne. So you always pronounce all the letters. Bell is campana, campana. Do not forget the M, campana. While doorbell is campanello, campanello. Okay? Cards are carte. Carte. The sound R. Okay? Carte. Let's say a useful verb to walk. To walk is camminare. Double M. Camminare. To fall is cadere. Cadere. Socks are calzini. So you have a Z here, okay? Calzini. And finally, the last example is song, canzone. Okay, once again we have the Z, canzone. And it doesn't matter, you can have CA at the beginning of the word, in the middle of it, you're gonna always read it as Ka. It's never gonna be Cha, okay? It's always Ka. So let's work on the second group. So let's start with our 10 examples. The second group is the group of co, C-O. To buy, for example, is comprare. You pronounce all the letters, comprare. Okay? To run is correre, double R, correre. You see, it's a little bit longer over there where we have the double R, correre. Correre is to run. A run is corsa. Corsa. Delivery is consegna. There is an N here. Watch out. Consegna. Okay? Partner can be either compagno, if it's a male partner, compagno, or compagna, if it's a woman. Okay? Compagno, compagna. Ribs, costole. Costole. Okay? And let's see our two last words. How to say happy in Italian. So we have two options because I know like Italian adjectives can be kind of a nightmare for non-Italian speakers because actually they need to match the gender and the noun of the word they refer to. So they can be singular, they can be plural, they can be masculine, they can be feminine. So in general, if you have all the forms, you're gonna have 4 forms of each adjective. It might seem much, but I promise you're gonna get used to it. So for example, happy, in singular, we have 2 options. So we have contento. Remember to pronounce the N too. Contento. If it's like if we're talking about a man. Contenta if it's a woman. Contento. Contenta. Okay? And then let's work on the last group. So the group of CU. Cu. So we have, for example, the verb to cook. Cuocere. Cuocere. And here you see the difference because at the beginning of the word you have CU, so you have the hard C, cu, and then in the middle you have CE, CE in Italian. And then you have the soft C, cere, cuocere. It's not cuocere, but cuocere. Okay? Talking about cooking, we can also talk about how to say cook, a cook. Cuoco. So here you basically have 2 groups. You have CU at the beginning of the word, cu, and then you have co at the end of it. Culture is cultura. Cultura. Okay? Heart is cuore. Cuore. Okay? Spoon is cucchiaio. This is difficult, cucchiaio, because you have CU at the beginning, then in the middle you have CHI, chi, cucchiaio. Dome is cupola. Cupola. Pillow is cuscino. So here you also have the group SCI. That is always pronounced as she. It's never ski unless there is an H. Otherwise, it's she, if you say it like this. Cuscino. A resume it's a very important word in our current societies, is curriculum. Curriculum. Okay, so you have a double CU, in this case a double Q. Then we can think, yes, we can think about a very important word that is apology, scusa. Scusa. Okay, and then our final example is going to be school, scuola. Okay, scuola. Perfect. And we have finished all our examples. So let's practice a little bit with an exercise. So in this case, you're going to see a word on screen and it's going to be up to you to pronunciate it. Then I'm going to reveal the solution, okay? So as soon as you see the word, try to read the word in the right way, okay? Before, of course, I reveal the solution. So this is our first word. And the solution is cucina. It's not cucina, but cucina. The group CI is written always as C, and that means kitchen. And this is our second word. And you read it as cane. Cane is dog in Italian. How are you doing with this exercise? This is our third word. It's a little bit longer. So let's see if it works for you. And this is the solution, calendario. I'm going to repeat it one more time. Calendario, calendar. Of course, if you need more time to try to read the word, just pause the video, okay? Don't be in a rush. It's more important that you do this exercise correctly rather than fast. This is our fourth word. And the solution is colla. So you need to stress a little bit where you have the double L, colla. There are two L's, okay? And that means glue. Fifth word. And the solution is cubo, cube, cubo. How was this exercise? Do you feel confident reading in Italian? Do you start a little bit to feel confident? At least you should feel like that way. Like it's very important to feel confident in order to progress. Okay, always feel motivated, and you'll see that even though now maybe you make some mistakes, it's totally normal. Okay, it will come with time and practice. So thanks for being with me for this new lesson, and I hope to virtually see you here again with me soon. Okay, have a great day. Ciao. Hello everyone, welcome to a new lesson of our course focused on Italian pronunciation. I really hope that you're enjoying our lessons together and that you're progressing in your Italian pronunciation. Never forget to feel confident in your skills, okay? You're gonna do that. There is no secret behind it. So in the previous lesson, we have seen three different groups of letters: CA, K, CO, CO, and finally CU, Q. Today, we're gonna work on two other groups of letters that always starts with letter C. So our two groups are going to be CI, CE in Italian, and CE in English that corresponds to CE in Italian. I know it's always tricky, like even for me now after all these years of teaching, but it's totally normal. So how do you read these two groups of letters? Chi is always read as chi. It's never ki. It's going to be ki if you see an H between the C and the I. If there is no H, then it's going to be chi, always. Same thing for CE. So chi e in Italian. You always pronounce this group of letters as che, okay? Chi, che. The C becomes a harsh sound if there is an H. If there is no H, then it's going to be chi or che, okay? So let's start showing you our list of examples for each group, okay? Let's start with the group of chi. So first word is going to be sky. Sky in Italian is cielo. Cielo. Never forget to repeat the words right after me, okay? To practice your pronunciation. A very important word in Italian culture is food, cibo. Cibo. Okay? Belt is cintura. You pronounce all the letters. Cintura. Okay? Cinghiale. Here we also have the group that we have already seen, G-H-I, G. Cinghiale. And that means boar. Onion is cipolla. Cipolla. There is a double L, so you have to make it longer, a little bit longer. Cipolla. Okay? Circus is circo. Circo. Okay? Blind is cieco. So for example, you have seen here, we have C-I-E, as we have seen for the sky, cielo, C-I-E, and it doesn't matter, okay? As soon as you see C-I, it's going to be C as a sound, okay? So blind is cieco. City is città. We have already seen this word before when we were discussing the accent. Città, with double T and an accent over the last letter, A in Italian. Friends are amici in Italian, masculine and plural. Amici. And finally, our last word is going to be special. Speciale. Here, for example, you have C-I-A in English, so C-I-A in Italian, but it doesn't matter. You see C-I, so it's going to be C. Okay, then we have a letter A, so it's going to be CHA. Okay, as letter A in Italian is A. I know, it's tricky for the moment, but it's gonna get better, I promise. Okay, and these were all our examples for the group of CI. Let's discover the group of CE with some examples as well. We're gonna start with a word that we say all the time, and that is of course. Of course in Italian is certo. Certo. Fun enough, it also means certain. Certo. Dinner is cena. Cena. Bin is cestino. Cestino. And then I've added a word just to show you a simple difference. So you might be wondering why I have added Czech as a nationality to this list, but because Czech is written as ceco. So in Italian is C-E-C-O. Ceco. So you have the two groups. You have C-E at the beginning that is supposed to be read as ce, and at the end you have CO that is supposed to be read as co, as we have seen in the previous lesson. And it's very important to spell it correctly because as you have seen together in the group of ci, you have ceco written as, in Italian, C-E-E-C-O. So there is only an extra I in English. That means blind. So there is a huge difference. Watch out if you ever write Czech or blind in Italian. You need to be careful. Another example, 100 in Italian is cento. Cento. Peace is pace. Pace. The sound P. Pace. Okay? Maple is acero. Acero. Don't feel tempted to say acero. Okay, remember the letter A in Italian is A. Acero. Okay? And then our last word is going to be a verb, and it is cercare. Cercare, to look for. And here you have ce at the beginning, and in the middle you have ca. And as we have seen together in the previous lesson, ca is always read as ca. Okay? Awesome. So now let's do one of our usual exercises. In this case, I'm going to pronounce a word twice in order to give you enough time to write it down. Then, after a few seconds of silence, then you're gonna see it on screen, okay? If you need more time to write the word down, just pause the video, okay? No problem, take your time. So, our first word is cemento. I'm gonna repeat it one more time. Cemento. And now it's your turn to write it down. And this is the solution, cemento. That means concrete, okay? Second word is cinema. Cinema. As you might have guessed, cinema is cinema, and you actually write it in the very same way you write it in English, cinema. Third word, macerie. Macerie. Take your time. And this is how you write it. Macerie means ruins, okay? Let's discover another word, a very important one in the Italian culture, and it's made of two words, okay? So the mysterious word is cin cin. Cin cin. And this is how you write it. Cin cin means cheers in Italian, okay? And our final word, tacere. Tacere. And this is how you write it. Tacere means to shut up, okay? Did you make any mistakes? Do you have any doubts about the groups of letters we have already worked on? If yes, do not hesitate to leave a comment or to send us a message, okay? I hope you enjoyed our lesson and our exercise as well. And if you made mistakes, don't worry too much about it. It's totally normal, okay? So thank you for being with me for this new lesson, and I hope to see you soon. A presto, see you soon. Hello everyone, welcome to this new lesson of our course focused on Italian pronunciation. I really hope that this lesson are going to be useful in your everyday life or maybe when you're traveling, who knows. The most important thing is that you're enjoying this journey that we're doing together into the Italian language. So in the previous lesson we have discussed two new different groups of letters. So we have discussed CE, CE in Italian, and CI, CI in Italian. Okay, so today we're going to focus on a different group, and this different group is GH. When you see GH, especially GHI, you can have GHE, it doesn't matter. The sound is always G. Okay, so it's actually the H that makes the sound J, G, as I have already told you with the letter C. Same thing. So when you see GH, in Italian, the sound is always G. It's never J. Okay? So let's start working on this group with our usual list of examples. Okay, that are pretty useful because that's how you learn some vocabulary as well. So our first word is ghianda. Ghianda. You pronounce all the letters, ghianda. So here, for example, you have GHI, you have the sound G because you have GH, and then you have E, that is I in English, but in Italian it's E, never forget about it. So ghianda, you pronounce all the letters, but H, we can say that. And ghianda means acorn or nut. Second word is ghiaia. We have lots of vowels like in these words. Ghiaia. And that means gravel. Third word, Ungheria. Ungheria. And that means Hungary, okay, the country. Ungheria. Always repeat the words when I pronounce them, okay, in order to practice a little bit. Then we have sughero. sughero. And that means cork. An easy word here, spaghetti. So spaghetti in English is spaghetti in Italian. There is a double T, so you really have to make it sound like there is a double T. So it's spaghetti. It's not T, but T. Okay? Needles, aghi. It's a very short word. Aghi. Length, lunghezza. Lunghezza. There is a double Z here. Lunghezza. As we're talking about measures, well, let's say also width. Width is larghezza. There is a double Z here as well. Larghezza. Hiccup, singhiozzo. Double Z here. Funny enough, we don't have so many double Z, but we have many in this list. Singhiozzo. Okay? And our last word is going to be monologues. It's quite similar actually to the English word, and in Italian it's monologhi. Monologhi. Okay? So you can have G-H-I-G-I-H-E. It doesn't matter. The sound is always going to be G of G-H. It's never going to be J. Okay? So let's practice a little bit with an exercise. So you're going to see a word on screen and I'm going to ask you to read that word. Okay? Then, of course, after a few seconds of silence, I'm going to reveal the solution. If you need more time to read the word, don't worry, just pause the video. Take your time. Don't be in a rush. Okay? So let's start. This is our first word. How do you read that? You read it as ghiaccio. Ice. Ghiaccio. Okay, so you have GH at the beginning, gi, because you have an I right afterwards. And then you have a CI at the end of the word that is going to be read as chi, ghiaccio. This is our second word. How do you read that? You read it as ungherese. Ungherese. And that means Hungarian. We have seen Hungary in our list, Ungheria, and the nationality is Ungherese. Okay? How do you deal with this word? It might be a little bit complicated maybe. Third word to guess. How do you read this one? And the solution is funghi. Mushrooms. Funghi. Okay, how was this exercise? Did you read all the words correctly, or maybe you made some mistakes? Let us know if you want to, okay? Don't be shy. Okay, so awesome. We have finished these lessons about the group of letters GH. That is always read as G, okay? I'm looking forward to starting a new lesson and I really hope to see you soon. Have a great day. Thank you for being with me. Grazie. Hello everyone, welcome to our new lesson of our course focused on Italian pronunciation. I'm your Italian teacher, Claudia, and I'm very happy to see you here again with me today. And I really hope that you're enjoying our journey into the Italian pronunciation. So we have discussed several groups of letters, and today we're going to focus on 3 more groups. As we have seen before, don't worry too much about it. It's always the same mechanism for 3 groups of letters. Specifically, our groups are going to be G-A in English, G-A in Italian, G-O in English, G-O in Italian, and G-U in English, so G-U in Italian. So when you have the letter G followed by A, O, or U, the sound of the letter G is always G, okay? It's never J, it's always G. It's a harsh sound, okay? So we're going to start focusing on the group of letters starting or that maybe have GA in the middle of them. Ga, showing you some examples. Okay? So as usual, please repeat the words right after me. Okay, so our first word is gabbia, cage. Gabbia. You also have a double B. Gabbia. Second word, gallery. That's easy. Galleria. Galleria. Okay, with a double L as well. Warranty is garanzia with a Z. Garanzia. Competition is gara, a very short word. Gara. Okay? To pay, pagare. Pagare. Okay? League is lega. Lega. And finally, our last example is going to be gift, present. Regalo. Regalo. So you see, as soon as you see GA in Italian, the sound is going to be ga. So let's see, what about the group GO? Go. So our first word is for our sports fanatic, and it's going to be goal. Goal. And that means goal, football goal, for example. Second word, rubber, is gomma. You have a double M here as well. Gomma. Similar word, but completely different in terms of meaning. Gonna. So, gomma is rubber. Gonna is skirt. Okay, so it's completely different. Drop is goccia. We have already seen the group of letters C-I-C-E in Italian, and you're supposed to read it always as C. Goccia. Okay? Goffo, double F as well. Goffo. And that means clumsy. Okay? Let's see an easy example. Gorilla. Gorilla is gorilla in English. But remember that the letter R in Italian is R as a sound. Gorilla. Okay? Last example, elbow is gomito. Gomito. Okay? Awesome. So let's focus on our last group, the third one, G-U, gu. The first word is guinzaglio. It might seem difficult, but it's really not so difficult, okay? Try to repeat it right after me. Guinzaglio. You just need to repeat all the letters. And this word means leash. Troubles, guai. Also vowels here as well. Guai. Okay? Owl is gufo. Gufo. 4 simple letters. Okay? Guanti. Guanti. Gloves. Taste is gusto. Gusto. And let's do an easy one. Golf. Golf is golf, the sport. So there is no actual difference. Okay? Awesome. I hope that everything is clear concerning these 3 groups of letters. And as usual, we're gonna do an exercise. Okay? So once again, I'm gonna read several words and I'm gonna ask you to write them down. Then, of course, I'm going to reveal the solutions. If you need more time to write them down, or if you feel a little bit pressed, there is no problem. Just pause the video, okay? Take your time. I will never repeat enough times. Take your time, seriously. So our first word is guidare. I'm gonna repeat it one more time. Guidare. How do you write that? And here's how you write it. Guidare means to drive. Okay? Awesome. So, our second word is gotico. gotico. And how do you write this one? This is the solution. So that's how you write it, and that means Gothic, okay? Gotico. And now let's see another useful word. Uguale. Uguale. Attention here. I'm gonna repeat it a third time. Uguale. How do you write this one? It might be a little bit tricky. I don't know. You'll tell me. And this is the solution. That's how you write uguale. Lots of vowels here as well. And uguale means the same. Okay, I hope you enjoyed our exercise, our small exercise, and that you feel more confident in your Italian skills. It's really not that difficult as it seems. You just need to follow the rules. As soon as you know that a certain group of letters is supposed to be read in a certain way, that's what you're supposed to do. Okay, there are no exceptions in this case. You just need to learn them and then practice, practice, practice. Okay, awesome. So I'm looking forward to starting a new lesson, and I really hope to see you soon. Thank you for being with me. Ciao! Hello everyone, welcome to our new lesson of our course focused on the Italian pronunciation. So in this lesson, we're going to focus on two different groups of letters. So the first one is GI in English, so GE in Italian, and the other one is going to be GE in English, that is GE in Italian. So I remind you that the most difficult letters in the Italian alphabet for non-Italian speakers are A, which is letter A in Italian, E, which is letter E in Italian, and I, which is letter E in Italian. Okay, so our first group is GE in Italian. As always, we're gonna start with a list of words just to show you some examples and to practice with the pronunciation. And I invite you to repeat those words right after me. Okay, so let's start with G. The first example is giacca, jacket. Giacca. Second example, ginnastica, gym, physical activity. Ginnastica. Trip is gita, a very simple and short word. Gita. Okay. Sunflower is girasole. It literally means turn flower, actually. Girasole. Sunflower. Ja, with an accent on the last letter, letter A, is already. Ja. If there wasn't that accent at the end of the word, you will read it as gia. But as you have the accent on the last A, it is ja. Okay? Jungle, giungla, giungla. Player is giocatore. You pronounce all the letters, giocatore. Okay? Jewels, gioielli, gioielli. Paris, as I'm living in Paris now, is Parigi. So here you have GI in English at the end of the word, Parigi. And then a very useful word when it comes to Italian culture is to eat, mangiare. And that letter I is very important. If you hadn't that letter, then you will read the verb as mangare. But you have the I, so it becomes mangiare. Okay? And last example, to add, aggiungere. So here you actually have both groups. You have GI and GE as well in the second half of the word. Aggiungere. Okay? So this is all about the group GI in English. Let's start with J in Italian, GE in English. So the first word I'm gonna propose is January. Gennaio, the first month of the year. Gennaio. Another very important word when it comes to Italy is ice cream. Gelato. And I guess that you already knew that word. Gelato. General is generale. Generale. Okay? People, gente. Gente. Okay? Kind, you have two options. One is generoso, if you're talking about something that is masculine, so a male person, generoso. If you're talking about a woman, then it becomes generosa, with an A at the end. Generoso, masculine, generosa, feminine. Okay? Geography, geografia. That's a long word. Geografia. Talking about subjects, geometry. Geometria. So don't fall into temptation and say geometria. Just keep in mind the letter E in Italian is always read as E. Okay? Geometria. And one last example is going to be gesture, gesto, gesto. Okay? So we're going to practice with an exercise now, and this exercise is called What Did I Say? So I'm going to pronounce a word twice, and you will see two options on screen. What you will have to do is to circle or to point out the right one. Okay? So are you ready? Our first mysterious word is gemma. I'm going to repeat it one more time. Gemma. So which word of the two is that one? And yes, it's the first option, because the second option, first of all, it doesn't exist in Italian, but it would be read as gemma. Okay, GH is G. Second example. Ghigno. What did I say? Ghigno. And yes, it's the second option. Third example. Getto. Getto. What did I say? Yes, it's the first option, getto, without the letter H. Then, jeep. Jeep. What did I say? Yes, it's the second option, as in English. So when we have English words, we might keep like the English way of writing it. So it's Jeep, J-E-E-P, okay? And fourth, and actually it's our fifth example, and it's going to be gin. Gin. What did I say? Yes, it's the first option, because the second one, it doesn't exist in Italian already, but if it existed, it would be gin, not gin. Okay? I really hope you enjoyed this exercise. Maybe it wasn't that difficult once you have understood how it works GH, GI, GE in Italian. Of course, if you have any kinds of questions, do not hesitate to reach out. Okay, we'll be glad to help you. So I hope to see you soon for the next lesson, and have a great day. Grazie. Ciao ciao. Hello everyone, ciao a tutti. I hope you're really enjoying our journey into the Italian pronunciation, and today we're going to focus on four different kinds of groups. What do they have in common? They all start with the same consonant. So SC in English, so SC in Italian. So what is going to change is the vocal, okay, right after the consonant. So we're going to see the four groups that are SCA, S-C-A, SCO, S-C-O, SCE, S-C-E, so S-C-E in Italian, just to remind you that. And finally, SCI, S-C-I. In English, in Italian, S-C-I. Okay? So as usual, we're going to focus on our first lists of examples with the two different groups of letters, but pay attention to them, okay? Just saying, okay, no spoilers. So we're going to start with the group ska. So as soon as you have S-C-A, the sound is always ska. So the C has a hard sound. It's K, it's not Ch, ska. First example, box, scatola, scatola. Shoes, scarpe, scarpe. As usual, you always pronounce all the letters, scarpe. Scaduto, expired, scaduto. Okay? Scapola is another example, scapola, shoulder blade. And finally, one last example, scalzo, scalzo with a Z. We're gonna focus on one lesson on the sound Z and S. Scalzo is barefoot, okay? So as you have seen, you always pronounce SCA as ska, okay? And now let's see some examples with SCO, SCO. So here is the same. As soon as you have SCO, so SCO in Italian, the sound is SCO. It's never SCO, it's SCO, okay? Examples. Scomodo, uncomfortable. Scomodo. Scopa, broom. Scopa. This is one of my most common verbs, and that's scordare, to forget. I always forget everything. Scordare. Shock can be shock, but it can also be scossa. Scossa. Scorso, previous. Scorso. Or last, for example, last Monday, lunedì scorso. Then in Italian, you actually place the adjectives not in front of the word they refer to, but right after it. Okay, it's not like in English. Scorso. And finally, pasture, pascolo. So here you have SCO in the middle of the word, but it's still SCO. Okay, pascolo. Awesome. And now let's move to the group of SCE in English, so SCE in Italian. The sound here is always sh, okay? It's never ske. If it's ske, that means that you have a letter H between the C and the E. If there isn't the H, then it is sh. So let's do some examples. To get off, scendere. Scendere. Okay, you pronounce all the letters. Scepter, scettro, scettro. Great. Skeptical, scettico, scettico. Miscela, blend. Miscela. Okay. Fish is pesce. And here it's very important that you write it this way, because if you say pesche, that means peaches. Okay, so that's a very important difference. Pesce, pesche. Lift is ascensore. That's a long word. Ascensore. Awesome. So we have finished our group of she, words in she. So our last group is the group of she. So SCI in English, that means SCI in Italian. And as usual, you always pronounce it as she. You have a ski if you have an H between this letter C and the letter I. If there isn't any H, then it will be always she. Okay? So don't fall into temptation to write it as in English, so S-H-E is not that, okay? It's S-C-I. So let's do some examples. Scivolo, slide. Scivolo. Monkey is scimmia, with double M as well. Scimmia. Theft, scippo, double P here. As you might have guessed, in Italian we do love double letters, unfortunately, for the foreigners, because they can be really hard to understand, but we're gonna focus later on that. So now we're working on she. So theft is she. To ski is sciare. Sciare. So do not say schiare, okay, that doesn't exist. That's not Italian. To ski is sciare. Syrup, sciroppo, with double P. Sciroppo. And finally, scarf is sciarpa. Sciarpa. Okay, you pronounce all the letters. Sciarpa. Okay, so are you ready for our usual exercise at the end of our lesson? So in this case, we're going to do something new. So as you might have seen, like I always pronounce the words in English and then in Italian, sorry, and then I tell you the translation in English. So today we're going to test if you have been attentive. Just kidding, but that's important to know the translation of the word. That's why we also do some vocabulary. So in this case, our exercise is going to be, what does it mean? So I'm going to pronounce a word in Italian and you're going to have three options in English regarding its translation. Okay, so what you're going to do is to pick the right translation of the word I'm going to pronounce. Are you ready? Don't feel scared, okay? So our first word is sciarpa. Sciarpa. Does it mean cold, broom, or scarf? And yes, it is scarf. Okay? Second example, scarpe. That's our mysterious word, scarpe. Does it mean dress, shoes, or trousers? If you need more time, of course, just pause the video, okay? So the solution is shoes. So it's always hard, like a little bit tricky between sciarpa, scarf, and scarpa. That is shoe in singular, okay? Sciarpe, plural, scarpe, shoes, okay? That can be tricky. The next mysterious word is scimmia. Scimmia. Does it mean monkey, lion, or parrot? And yes, it does mean monkey. Okay? Next example. Pesce. Pesce. Does it mean fish, meat, or salad? Its meaning is fish. Okay? How are you doing with this exercise? Last word. Ascensore. Ascensore. Does it mean building, roof, or lift? Maybe you remember this one. And yes, its translation in English is lift. So how was this exercise? Did you make any mistakes? If you did, that's totally normal. We have done tons of vocabulary, so it's totally normal if you don't remember. But always pay attention to translations, okay? Because yes, pronunciation is important, but you should know some vocabulary as well, okay? Awesome. So thank you again for being with me for this new lesson, and I'm looking forward to starting a new one, okay? Have a great day. Ciao! Hello everyone, welcome to this new lesson of our course focused on Italian pronunciation. So in the previous lesson we have discussed the groups of letters beginning with SC, S, C in Italian. We have seen ska, sco, sci, and she, okay? Today we're going to focus on one group of letters only, but it is quite difficult, not in terms of grammar but in terms of pronunciation. In my experience, I have seen that foreigners have always some kind of trouble in pronouncing this group of letters. So what group of letters is it? It is L. L is made of G, L, I in this case, and it's always pronounced as Li. Look at my mouth. Li. It's a very difficult sound, I know that, but it will come with practice, okay? Don't be in a rush. Take your time to learn this new sound. Li. Okay? We don't have so many words with li, but we have some, there might be some useful ones as well. That's why it's pretty important to learn how to pronounce these words correctly. Li. So let's start with our examples. So the first one is li, just basic, G-L-I. And it's actually an article. It corresponds to the in English. Well, in English it's quite easy because we only have the as an article. In Italian we do have 6 articles, and specifically li is an article that is used for plural words. I remind you that we have done tons of courses like regarding grammar, so if you want to know more about them, just focus on them. Here we're going to focus on pronunciation, otherwise this course will last like 40 hours. Okay, so the second word is aglio. Aglio. Garlic. Aglio. Rabbit is coniglio. So here you have G-L-I at the end. Coniglio. Ciglia. Eyelashes. Ciglia. Son is figlio. That's why this group is very important. Figlio. Daughter is figlia. Figlia. So figlio is son, daughter is figlia. Wife is moglie. Fun enough, we have plenty of words regarding the family with the letters G-L-I. So moglie is wife. Moglie. Lily is Giglio. Well, I am from Florence, and it happens that the lily is actually the symbol of my city. That's why I wanted to add the lily here, even if you don't use it so much in your everyday life, I guess. Giglio. Lily. And finally, a very useful word, especially for English speakers, is miles. I remind you that in Italy we do not use miles, but we use the kilometers and the meters. But miles is miglia in Italian. Miglia. So how is it going with the sound lia? Do you find it difficult or maybe easy? Let us know, please, because it's very interesting to know actually. Okay? And now we're going to focus on an exercise. So as usual, you're going to see a word, an Italian word, on screen, and you will have to pronunciate it. After like a few seconds, I'm going to reveal the solution. Okay, so are you ready? Let's start with our first mysterious word. Here it is on screen. How do you read that? So the right pronunciation is scoglio. Scoglio. So here you have both the group of letters GLI and the group of letters SCO that we have focused on in the previous lesson. Second mysterious word. Here it is. How do you read that? The solution is bottiglia. Bottiglia. Bottle. Third word. Here it is. How do you read this one? The solution is luglio, and that means July. We have seen January when we were doing GE, gennaio, and now we're going to do July, luglio. Next word, here it is. How do you read this one? The solution is foglia, leaf, foglia. Okay, How are you doing? Last example, here it is. How do you pronounce this word? And the right pronunciation is famiglia, family. Famiglia. So please, really, let us know if you found this group of letters difficult or not, or maybe if you have found other groups of letters quite difficult to pronounce, like according to your native language. Okay, it's very interesting and it's going to be useful because maybe that's how we know how to help you better. Okay, so we have finished this lesson that was focused on the group of letters GLI, li, as a sound. So I wish you a wonderful day and I hope to virtually see you soon here for another lesson. Thank you. Ciao. Bye bye. Hello everyone, welcome to our new lesson of our Italian course focused on pronunciation. So in the previous lesson, if you remember, we discussed the sound li, G-L-I, in English, G-L-I in Italian, okay? So today we're going to focus on just one letter, but a very important one, and that is letter H. We have already discussed a bit what does happen when you have a letter H in a word. But now we're gonna discuss it in a more wide way, okay? We're gonna deepen what we have previously mentioned. So if you remember, we have already done the group of letters GH. So when you have the GH letters in a word, in an Italian word, the pronunciation is always G. So actually, letter H in Italian does not have a sound, okay? It just helps to give more strength, we can say, to a consonant, such as letter G or letter C, but it doesn't have a sound like in English, okay? It's different. So let's start with some examples. So we have seen the groups of letters CH and GH before. And you know that as soon as you have the H, the sound of the letter C becomes K. It's not Ch anymore, but it's K. Same thing for the letter G. If you have GH, then it's G, and it's not J anymore. So let's do just a couple of examples of words with CH. For example, chiesa. Chiesa is church. So as you might have seen, you have CH at the beginning of the word, and the sound is just K. Okay, so the letter H doesn't have its own sound. Other examples, arches, archi. Archi. If there wasn't an H here, the word would be arci. You have the H, archi. Okay? Parks is parchi. Very same thing. Parchi. Okay? And let's see some example with GH. For example, obblighi. Obblighi means duties. Obblighi. Okay? Targhe. Targhe is plates, car plates. Targhe. Lunghi or lunghe means long. I remind you that in Italian, the adjectives need to match the gender and the noun of the word they refer to. So lunghi is for masculine plural words and lunghe is for feminine plural ones. Lunghi, lunghe. Okay? But what does it happen when you have the letter H at the beginning of the word? So in English, the letter H, it actually has its own sound. For example, I have. So you have this H at the beginning of the word because you have the letter H. In Italian, letter H doesn't have a sound, even if when it's actually at the beginning of the word. So you might ask yourself, why is there over there then? What its purpose, what its goal? If you don't pronounce it, what do we use this letter for? There is no answer. So, for example, we can actually use the letter H just to make a distinction between two words that would be different. For example, let's see an example. O. It's H-O in English, so H-O in Italian. So you don't pronounce the first H. It's not ho, doesn't exist, it's O, okay? So why do we put the H? So O means I have, okay? Because I remind you that in Italian we don't use subject so much. So O means I have. If you don't have that H, the word would be read as O. O. And that means or. Okay? Other example. I. Here as well you have the letter H at the beginning of the word, but you don't pronounce it. It's not hi, it's I. Very easy. Okay? And that means you have. If you just have the letter A alone, I in this case, it's actually an article preposition. It means, for example, to the. So it's something completely different. Other example, a, that means he or she or it has. Here as well you have has as a sound in English because you have the letter H at the beginning of the word. In Italian, you have the letter H at the beginning of the word, but you don't pronounce it. It's a, it's not ha. Okay? If you just have the letter A, so a, in Italian the pronunciation is the same. That means, for example, tons of different things. It's a preposition actually. It can be to, for example, to. Of course, when you have English words starting with letter H, we do keep them, but the pronunciation is different as we don't read the H. For example, hamburger in Italian is hamburger. So you actually write it in the very same way, but you pronounce it differently because we don't read the letter H. I don't know why we're discriminating the letter H so much, but that's how it is. So, hamburger. Humor, for example, we write it in the very same way, but we pronounce it as humor. Humor. Hollywood in Italian is Hollywood. Okay? Hardware in Italian is hardware. We don't pronounce the letter H. Hacker, hacker. Okay, so we actually keep tons of different English words, especially related to IT and things like that, but the pronunciation slightly changes. And now let's do an exercise. So our exercise is called Where is the H? So here you're gonna hear me pronunciating, reading a word out loud where there is an H, okay? Your task is going to write the word down and properly place the letter H within the word itself, okay? So, are you ready to start? Our first word is larghi. I'm gonna repeat it twice. Larghi. Of course, if you need more time, just pause the video and resume it once you have written the word, okay? Larghi. And here is how it's written. So you have letter H between letter G and letter I in English. So letter G in Italian and letter E in Italian, okay? And larghi means large, okay? Second word, occhio. Occhio. Now it's your time to write it down. And here is how it's written. O-C-C-H-I-O. In Italian, O-C-C-H-I-O. And that means I. If you hadn't that H, the word would be read as occhio. But you have the H, so it's occhio. Okay? Another one. Scherzo. Scherzo. How do you write that? And here is how you write it. Scherzo means joke. So spelling in English, S-C-H-E-R-Z-O. Spelling in Italian, S-C-H-E-R-Z-O. Joke, scherzo. If the H wasn't there, the word would be read as scherzo. Okay, I hope you understand how it works. And then let's do one last example. Hotel. Hotel. What is it? How do you write it? And here's the solution. So you actually write it as in English, but in English you pronounce it as hotel. In Italian, it's hotel. So you actually, the accent is slightly different as well, but especially you don't pronounce the first H. How did you do with this exercise? Did you make any mistakes? Do you find H difficult to place, like in Italian words? Let us know, please. Okay? In the meantime, great work. I hope you're really enjoying our journey together into the Italian pronunciation, and I hope to virtually see you soon for another lesson. Okay? Thank you again for being with me. Ciao! Hello everyone, welcome to this new lesson of our Italian course focused on pronunciation. So I really hope you're enjoying our lesson together, and please, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out, okay? So today we're going to focus on two different groups of letters. The first one is G-N-O in English, so G-N-O in Italian, and the other one is G-N-A in English, so G-N-A in Italian, okay? So how do you pronounce them? You actually pronounce them in the very same way, the only thing that changes is the last letter. So G-N-O is gno as a sound, gno. G-N-A is gna as a sound, gno, gna. Okay, we don't have so many letters with these groups, but just in case, we're gonna work on them as well. So let's start with a list of examples of words with G-N-O, gno. For example, gnome, gnomo. Not very useful in your everyday life, but who knows? Gnomo. Then, a very famous dish in our Italian kitchen is gnocchi. Gnocchi. That's the way you pronounce it. Gnocchi. Also, you have CH. Remember that CH is always read as K. It's never ch in Italian, but always K. Then we can have pound, stagno, stagno. Okay. Bath is bagno, bagno. A very important word for our present and our future is sogno, dream. Sogno. Okay? And our last one is legno, wood. Legno. Okay? Let's move to the words with the groups G-N-A, gna. For example, vigna. Very important if you're traveling in Tuscany. Vigna means vineyard. Vigna. Then we may have pigna, pine cone. Pigna, not to be confused with vigna. Pay attention to the first letter. Vigna, vineyard. Pigna, pine cone. Okay? Regnare, that's a verb. Regnare, to reign, to rule. Cicogna, cicogna, that means stork. Cicogna. Here you have CI at the beginning of the word in English, so CI in Italian, and I remind you that the sound is always ch in this case. If there was an H, then it would be cicogna. That doesn't exist, but just to show you the difference. And then we have vergogna, that means shame. Vergogna. Okay? Awesome. So we have finished with our examples, and now we're going to do a pronunciation exercise, as we have already done in the previous lesson. So you're going to see a word on screen, and what you have to do is to read that word. Then I'm going to reveal the solution. Okay? So this is our first mysterious word. How do you read that? If you need more time, of course, just pause the video. So the solution is compagna. Compagna. That means partner, but a female partner. You also have compagno with an O at the end, and that means a male partner. Okay? Second word. How do you read this one? You read it as agnello, lamb. Agnello. Okay? Third word, here it is. And you read it as ragno, spider. Ragno. Fourth word. How do you read this one? You read it as bisogno, need. Bisogno. And this is our final word. The solution is magnete, magnet. Magnete. Okay? How is this group? Is it difficult? Is it easy for you to pronunciate? Let us know. Okay? So we have finished this new lesson of our course of Italian pronunciation, and I really hope to see you, even if just virtually, for the new one very soon. Okay? Thank you again for being with me. Ciao! Hello everyone, welcome to this new lesson of our course focused on Italian pronunciation. So today's lesson might be a little bit difficult. And why should be so difficult? Because we're gonna focus on two different letters. Yes, we're not talking about groups of letters, but two letters. So we're gonna focus on the letter S, S in Italian, and then the letter Z, Zeta in Italian. Because their sound can often be confused, and it can be difficult to figure out whether it's F, S, or Z. Okay, so let's start with some basic pronunciation. So the sound of the letter S in general is S, like this. Pay attention to my mouth and also to the sound. S. The sound of the letter Z, Zeta, in Italian is Z or Z. S, S, Z, or Z in Italian for Z. Okay? S, S, Z, or Z for Z. Okay? It might seem a little bit complicated, but we're gonna do some examples, so it might be a little bit easier to understand. Just to make things more complicated, for example, in my region, in Tuscany, we often pronounce the letter S as Z, but I'm going to try to pronounce these words in proper Italian, okay? Don't worry too much about it. So let's start with our list of examples with letter S. So the first word is vaso, pot. You see, vaso, it's S. Posate, cutlery. Posate. Okay, mostro, monster, mostro. Here you can hear very well that it's letter S, mostro. Caso, case, caso. Uso, use, uso, it's a S. Peso, weight, peso. You hear the sound of the letter S, S. Viso, face, viso. Okay. Respiro, breath, respiro. Okay. Naso, nose, naso. And finally, a last one, orso, bear, orso. Okay, is it a little bit more clear how the letter S is pronounced in Italian? It's S, okay? And now let's see letter Z, Zeta. For example, zanzara. You hear the sound zanzara, that's mosquito. Z, okay? Zaino, backpack, zaino. So you have Z. If there was an S at the beginning of this word, then the word would be read as sino. But it's zaino, as we have a letter Z in the beginning. Okay? Zampa, paw. I'm always doing like animals example, as I have my dog right next to me, so I take inspiration from him. Zampa. Zebra, zebra. So you actually write it in the very same way you write it in English, but the pronunciation is different, as letter E in English is letter E in Italian. Okay? Zebra. Ambizioso, ambitious. Ambizioso. You see here, Z. It's not Z, but Z, but it's still letter Z. If the word is a letter S, then it would be ambizioso, but it's ambizioso. Plus, you actually have a letter S in this word, ambizio, Z, so, S. Okay? Adozione, adoption. Situazione, situazione, situation, trapezio, trapeze, trapezio, okay? And finally, one last example, validazione, validation, validazione. Is it a little bit clear? Just to make a small recap, letter S is pronounced as S. Letter Z can either be read as Z or Z. Okay? So are you ready for our usual exercise at the end of our lesson? So today, the exercise will focus on whether you should use letter S or letter Z to write a certain word. So I'm going to pronounce a word. What you will have to do is to write the word down. And of course, there's going to be like a choice. Is it with letter S or with letter Z? So you really need to pay attention to the pronunciation. Before leaving you the time to write it down, I'm going to repeat the word twice. Okay? Of course, if you need more time, just pause the video and resume it once you have finished. Okay? So, our first word is vacanza. Letter S or Z? Vacanza. Now it's your turn. And here's the solution. Yes, it's with letter Z, vacanza. Okay, and that means holiday. Second word, casa. Casa. Letter S or Z? And yes, it's with letter S, and that means house, home. Third word, senza. Senza. This might be tricky. And here's the solution. So you have letter S at the beginning of the word, and then you have letter Z. Senza. Okay, you have both. Oh, and senza means without. I forgot. So our fourth word is spesa. Spesa. How do you write it? And here's the solution. Yes, you have two S at the beginning and in the middle of the word. Spesa. And that means shopping. Okay? And then our final word, it's a verb. Alzarsi. Alzarsi. How do you write this one? And here is the solution. Yes, you have letter Z as the third letter, and then nearly at the end of the word you have letter S. Alzarsi. Okay? And that means to get up. Don't worry if you made some mistakes, it's totally normal. Like letter S and letter Z can be a little bit tricky at the beginning, but it will become easier with practice. Okay? I really hope you enjoyed our lesson on letter S and letter Z, and I'm looking forward to starting a new one. Have a great day. Thank you for being with me. Hello everyone, welcome to this new lesson of our course focused on Italian pronunciation. I really hope you're enjoying our journey to the Italian pronunciation, that you're eager to learn and discover more about it. So today, we're going to focus on one of the trickiest things in the Italian pronunciation, doubled letters. They can be really hard to find and to write them as well, because it's not that obvious to recognize whether it's a double letter or just a single letter, okay? I'm going to show you some examples. So I'm going to show you some examples where you have one word with a single letters and the same word but with double letters that has a completely different meaning. So you understand why double letters are so important in the Italian grammar and pronunciation as well, because there is a difference. While talking, this difference can be very slight, it can be very hard to recognize, but it is there. So it will come with practice, I promise. So let's start with some examples. The first word of our series is capelli. Capelli means hair. And so here you also already have one double letter, letter L, capelli. So you see, it's kind of a longer consonant. But if you double the P as well, you get cappelli. And that means hats. So capelli, cappelli. Can you hear the difference? Probably yes. This is quite a good example. Capelli, cappelli. Another example. Pala, easy, we all only have single letters. Or palla. Palla, shovel. Palla, ball. So there is quite a difference in terms of meaning. Palla, palla. You see, it's kind of a little bit longer. Yes, I'm talking slowly, but that's how you start. Other example. Tono, tonno. Tono, tonno. Tono means tone. Tonno means tuna. So here as well, the meaning is completely different. Tono, tonno. That's why double letters are so important. Osso, oso. So here the difference is quite important as well. Osso means bone. Oso is a verb, and that means I dare. Osso, doubled, oso. Okay, other example. Ossa, osa. Here we're kind of the same field because ossa means bones, osa means he or she dares. Okay, ossa, osa. Can you feel the difference? Then, nonna, nona. Nonna, grandma. Nona, ninth. Okay, nonna, you see here how it's a little bit longer? Nona, quicker. Nonno, nono. Here is kind of the same. Nonno means grandpa. Nono means ninth as well. I always remind you that Italian adjectives need always to match the gender and the number of the word they refer to. So nonna is the female form of the adjective, nono is the masculine form of the adjective itself. Okay? Other example. Sonno, sono. Sonno means sleep. Sono means I am. Sonno, sono. Of course, the difference is more important while you're writing, okay? Because in general, while you're talking, you know whether you're talking about sleep or you're using the verb to be. Motto, moto. Motto, moto. Moto, motorcycle. So you see, like, the difference is quite striking. Sette, sete. Sette is 7. Sete is thirst. Sette, sete. Okay? Other example. Carro, caro. Can you feel the difference? Carro, chariot. Caro, deer. Okay? Last example. Rossa, rosa. Here you can really feel the difference. Rossa means red if it refers to a feminine singular word. Rossa. Rosa means pink or rose, the flower. It's the same in Italian. Okay? I hope it's a little bit more clear now, but I know that at the beginning you will probably struggle with double letters, and that's totally fine. It's normal. Okay? So, our exercise today is called Is there a double letter or not? So I'm gonna read some words and you will have to write it down. Of course, you need to focus on all the word, but you need to focus whether there is a double letter or not. Okay, so really pay attention to the pronunciation. Okay, ready to start? So the first word is cane. Is there a double letter or not? Cane. I'm always gonna repeat it twice. And no, there isn't a double letter, so you write it as, in Italian, C-A-N-E, and that means dog. Okay? Second word, torri. Is there a double letter or not? Torri. And yes, there is a double letter indeed. It's in Italian T-O-R, R-I, and that means towers. If you actually write it with just one R, that means bulls, and you will read it as tori, while this one is torri. Okay? Let's do a longer word. Allenamento. Allenamento. Now it's your turn. And yes, there is a double letter. And this word, allenamento, means training. Okay? Then, letto. Letto. How do you write this one? And yes, it's L-E-T. T-O. And that means bed. So you actually have a double letters. If there wasn't the double T, you will read this word as letto, while it's letto. Okay? Then, mano. I'm going to repeat it one more time. Mano. How do you write it? And yes, you write it as M-A-N-O. And that means hand. Okay? One last word. Pollo. Pollo. How do you write this one? And yes, there is a double L. Pollo. And that means chicken. Okay? I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and don't worry if you don't feel the difference yet. If it seems very difficult, it's totally normal. I think the double letters are one of the hardest things in the Italian grammar. But once again, it's a little bit more important when you write and not when you read, because in general, the context really helps to understand what you're talking about. So it's pretty clear if you're talking, for example, about, I don't know, your grandpa or something that is ninth in the order, okay? So don't worry too much about it. It will come with practice, as I always say. You don't have to be in a rush while learning a new language. So thank you again for being with me, and I wish you a wonderful day. Ciao, ciao. Hello everyone, welcome to this new lesson of our Italian course focused on pronunciation. So with the previous lesson, we have finished all groups of letters that have a specific pronunciation. So now we can have a little bit of fun with the language. Specifically today, we're gonna discover some tongue twisters in Italian. Some of them might be harder, some of them might be easier, you'll tell me, but do not judge me, I might make some mistakes because tongue twisters are pretty difficult in Italian, for Italian speakers as well. So why don't we have some fun and try to read them? So, as in all languages, they don't always make sense when you translate them, but I'm going to translate them as well just to practice a little bit more. So this is our first tongue twister. It's a short one, but it can be a little bit tricky. Here, the trick is the sound of the letter R. In Italian, we have plenty of R's, so that's what it makes this tongue twister pretty difficult. So, ready? Tre tigri contro tre tigri. And that means 3 tigers versus 3 tigers. As I have pronounced it, might seem a little bit easy, but actually when you start to repeat it a little bit faster, that becomes very difficult. I'm gonna try it. Do not judge me. Tre tigri contro tre tigri. That was good. Tre tigri contro tre tigri, tre tigri contro tre tigri. Here it is. I made a mistake because I said trigri instead of tigri. That's the trick. Okay? Okay, let's move to the second one. And this one that you see on screen is as difficult as the previous one. Here as well, we're going to focus on the R. That's the main problem. So I'm going to read it a little bit slower. 33 trentini entrarono a Trento, tutti e 33 trotterellando. What does it mean? So 33 people from Trento, Trentini, entered Trento, this city in northern Italy, tutti e 33, all 33 trotterellando, trotting. So it doesn't make any sense, but it's very hard to read it. I'm gonna try it. 33 trentini entrarono a Trento, tutti e 33 trotterellando. I hope you're trying to read it as well. So I'm pretty good with tongue twisters with letter R, but that can be a little bit tricky. 33 trentini entrarono a Trento, tutti e 33 trotterellando. Okay, I did it. So why don't you try it as well? Have fun with the language, okay? The purpose is not to read the tongue twister in the right way. The purpose is to have fun with the language. Okay, so let's move to the third one. Here, the trick is the switch between letter C, letter M, letter P, okay, because you have very similar words one following the other. So that's the most difficult thing. So I'm gonna read it. Sopra la panca la capra campa, sotto la panca la capra crepa. That means over the bench, sopra la panca, la capra, the goat, campa. That means survives. Sotto la panca, under the bench, la capra, the goat, crepa, dies. Don't ask me why it happens, but that's the tongue twister. So I'm gonna try to repeat it a little bit faster. Sopra la panca la capra campa, sotto la panca la capra crepa. That was good. I'm pretty proud of myself. So, sopra la panca la capra campa, sotto la campa la... I made a mistake. I said sotto la campa instead of sotto la panca. That's the main point. This is why this tongue twister is a little bit hard. Let's move to the next one. I'm gonna read a little bit slower at first. Li vuoi quei kiwi? E se non vuoi quei kiwi, che kiwi vuoi? This is very difficult for me. So I'm gonna translate it. But here, the trick is the sound of u. U-O. You have plenty of this, you have kiwi, so that's why it's so hard. And for me, it's a special, I think maybe it's the hardest one. So the translation is, do you want those kiwis? Li vuoi quei kiwi? You see, like, I can't even try to read it a little bit slower. E se non vuoi quei kiwi? And if you don't want those kiwis, che kiwi vuoi? So which kiwis do you want? It's very tricky. I'm gonna read it a little bit faster, but I'm sure I'm gonna make some mistakes. Okay, I'll focus and I'll start. Li vuoi quei kiwi? E se non vuoi quei kiwi, che kiwi vuoi? Yes, that's too difficult for me. I made a mistake because I said kiwi instead of kiwi. Li vuoi quei kiwi? E se non vuoi quei kiwi, che kiwi vuoi? It's so difficult for me, okay? I hope you're trying to read it as well. So if I make mistakes, you're more than justified to make mistakes as well, okay? And now let's move to the fifth one. The fifth one is the longest one, and it's also my favorite because I'm very good at it, okay? But the translation, seriously, is nuts, okay? We're gonna see that. So I'm gonna read it a little bit slower at first. Apelle, figlio di Apollo, fece una palla di pelle di pollo. Tutti i pesci vennero a galla per vedere la palla di pelle di pollo fatta da Apelle, figlio di Apollo. Okay, here the trick is the sound pe, 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 po. That keeps on repeating itself. Okay, so translation: Apelle, son of Apollo, made a ball of chicken skin. Chicken skin is pelle di pollo. Tutti i pesci, all the fish, vennero a galla, came to the surface, per vedere, to see, la palla di pelle di pollo, the ball of chicken skin, fatta da Pelle, made by Apelle, figlio di Apollo, son of Apollo. Okay, that doesn't make any sense, but it's pretty fun. So I'm gonna try to read it a little bit faster. If I make mistakes, I will be really disappointed in myself. So, Apelle, figlio d'Apollo, fece una palla di pelle di pollo. Tutti i pesci vennero a galla per vedere la palla di pelle di pollo fatta da Apelle, figlio d'Apollo. I did it. That's why it's my favorite. So as you might have seen, my weakness is actually the sound we, v. So that's why our fourth tongue twister is kind of impossible for me. So I hope you enjoyed our lesson. This was purely merely a fun lesson. And I hope you try to read this tongue twister, that you keep on practicing, for example, when you're at home. These are fun, actually. And which one is the hardest one for you? Let us know in the comments, please. Okay, I'll be glad to hear it from you. So I hope you enjoyed it. And we're getting closer to the end. Our next lesson is going to be our last one, and it's going to be focused on practice. Okay, are you ready? So thank you again for being with me, and I'm looking forward to starting the new one and the last one as well. Okay, have a great day. Ciao. Hello everyone, welcome to our last lesson of our Italian course focused on pronunciation. As I have already anticipated in the previous lesson, today we're going to be focusing only on practice. Specifically, we're going to work on a dictation, your first dictation ever, okay? Of course, I'm going to speak slow and I'm going to repeat the words more than once, okay? Don't worry, don't feel too stressed about it, it's going to be fun. Before starting, I'm going to tell you how you read, because I'm going to tell them, the punctuation in Italian. Okay, so for example, comma is virgola. So as soon as I say virgola, that means that you need to add a comma. Okay? Full stop is punto, punto. Question mark is punto interrogativo. exclamation point is punto esclamativo. That's quite similar to the English word. Okay? So are you ready to start? Let's start with the first short text. Ready? Take paper, take a pen. Do you have everything you need? Okay, let's start. Quando ero a scuola, virgola, I'm gonna repeat it. Quando ero a scuola, virgola, amavo la storia, punto. Amavo la storia. Ok? Next sentence. Non mi piaceva la matematica. I'm gonna repeat it. Non mi piaceva la matematica. Ok? La mia migliore amica si chiamava Giulia. I'm gonna repeat it. La mia migliore amica si chiamava Giulia. Punto. Veniva a casa mia. Veniva a casa mia. E io andavo a casa sua. Punto. E io andavo a casa sua. Punto. Abitavamo in una piccola città. Abitavamo in una piccola città. Ok? Ci piaceva disegnare e scoprire nuova musica. Punto. Ci piaceva disegnare e scoprire nuova musica. Punto. Giulia e io siamo ancora migliori amiche. Siamo ancora migliori amiche. Okay, it's finished. So I'm gonna read the short text one more time. Okay, just so, for example, you can check what you have written. Maybe you can add some missing words. Okay. Quando ero a scuola, virgola, amavo la storia. Non mi piaceva la matematica. La mia migliore amica si chiamava Giulia. Punto. Veniva a casa mia e io andavo a casa sua. Punto. Abitavamo in una piccola città. Punto. Ci piaceva disegnare e scoprire nuova musica. Punto. Giulia e io siamo ancora migliori amiche. And if you want, you can add a punto esclamativo at the end, an exclamation point. Okay? How did it go? Are you in doubt? I don't know. If you have made some mistakes, it's totally normal. It's your first dictation ever. Okay, don't be too hard on yourself. So let's reveal the solution. Here is the text. So I'm going to translate it in English as well. When I was in school, quando era a scuola, amavo la storia. I loved history. Non mi piaceva la matematica. I didn't like math. La mia migliore amica si chiamava Giulia. My best friend's name was Giulia. Literally means my best friend was called Giulia. That's how we say it in Italian. Veniva a casa mia, she came to my house, e io andavo a casa sua. And I went to her place, to her house. Abitavamo in una piccola città. We lived in a small city. Ci piaceva disegnare, we liked drawing, e scoprire nuova musica. And discover new music. Giulia e io siamo ancora migliori amiche. Giulia and I are still best friends. How did it go? Did you make any mistakes? If yes, don't worry. Okay, it's totally normal. Okay, so if you have any question about this exercise, please let us know. Okay, so this was our last lesson, but I'm gonna add an extra after this lesson with another dictation. It's gonna be optional. Okay, so if you want to do it, feel free to do it. It's a good practice. If you feel that you have enough about Italian pronunciation and dictation, you can stop here. Okay. So thank you again for being with me. Thank you very much for following this journey to Italian pronunciation. And if you want to practice a little bit more, the extra is following. Or if you want to stop here, that's fair enough. Okay, thank you. You have done so much. Okay, thank you again for being with me. Ciao. Hello everyone, welcome to this extra lesson of Italian for beginners. So as I have already anticipated in the previous one, this extra is it's for you if you want to do some more practice with another dictation exercise. Okay, so great job. If you're willing to do another exercise, practice is always good. So let's start with our exercise. Okay, as we have already done in the previous lesson, I'm gonna repeat the words, like the parts of the sentence, more than once. Then at the end, I'm gonna repeat the whole text one more time, and then I'm gonna show you the text on screen, and then I'm gonna reveal the translation as well. Okay, are you ready? I'm gonna start. L'italiano è una bella lingua da imparare. Punto. L'italiano è una bella lingua da imparare. Punto. Può essere difficile, virgola, può essere difficile, virgola, ma tutti possono riuscire. Punto. Ma tutti possono riuscire. Punto. La cosa più importante, la cosa più importante è fare tanta pratica. È fare tanta pratica. Punto. Secondo me, virgola, secondo me, virgola, l'inglese è una lingua più facile. Punto. Più facile. Punto. How did it go? So I'm gonna read the text one more time so that you could change something if needed or add some missing words. L'italiano è una bella lingua da imparare. Punto. Può essere difficile, virgola, ma tutti possono riuscire. Punto. La cosa più importante è fare tanta pratica. Punto. Secondo me, virgola, l'inglese è una lingua più facile. Punto. How did it go? So I'm gonna show you the text on screen now. So here is the text of our dictation exercise. I'm gonna translate it in English first. L'italiano, the Italian language, is a beautiful language to learn. It might be difficult, può essere difficile, but everyone can succeed. The most important thing, la cosa più importante, is to do a lot of practice. In my opinion, secondo me, the English language is an easier language. Okay? How did it go? Did you make any mistakes? If you did, that's totally normal. It's your second dictation exercise. I would be worried if you didn't make any mistakes at all. Okay? So thank you again for doing this extra exercise. I really hope you enjoyed our journey into the Italian language and pronunciation. And I really hope to see you soon in another course. Okay, thank you again for being with me and have a great day. Ciao, a presto! Congratulations, complimenti, you did it! You have just finished this course focused on Italian pronunciation. I'm very proud of the job you have done and I hope you are as well. This is just the first step and I hope you're eager to learn something new of the Italian language and culture as well. If you have a few minutes left, I would ask you to leave a comment to this course, to leave us a feedback in order to allow me to grow as a teacher and in order to allow us to improve our future courses as well. I really hope you enjoyed it once again and thank you for sharing your time with me. Have a great day and I hope to see you soon in another course. Bye! Ciao!